Hello everyone, welcome back to MASA Military. During the Russo-Ukrainian War, Russia has sent a large number of armed helicopters to fight on the front line, but suffered heavy losses. Russia is estimated to have lost more than 100 armed helicopters. In the early and middle stages of the war, Russian armed helicopters appeared a lot. However, with the increase in losses and the frequent use of drones and fixed-wing fighter jets, armed helicopters began to gradually retreat to the second line, and its appearance on the front line has repeatedly gotten lower. This has led the countries who are observing the war to consider reducing the number of attack helicopters. Although the future of attack helicopters is worrying, fast transport helicopters are still indispensable and have become more important. 1 year after selecting the V-280 Valor tiltrotor aircraft to replace the Black Hawk helicopters, the U.S. Army officially launched a replacement operation. The first batch of cuts was approximately 160 UH-60 Black Hawk helicopters, freeing up the budget for the new generation of Valor to take over. Before the start of the Russia-Ukraine war, the Russian Air Force had about 400 armed helicopters, including 100 Ka-52s and Mi-28s each, and the remaining 200 or so were from the Mi-24-35 series. Judging from the current data, the Russian army has lost more than a quarter of its armed helicopters. This loss rate should have affected the operation of the attack helicopter fleet. Since the Russian army does not have absolute air supremacy on the battlefield, Russian fighter bombers and attack helicopters have to fly at low altitudes in order to avoid radar detection and perform bombing and attack missions. This makes them vulnerable to Ukrainian ground-based individual air defense missiles and anti-aircraft artillery fire. This is also one of the reasons for the armed helicopters' record of receiving high combat damage. The Ukrainian army not only has Soviet-era anti-aircraft guns and short-range air defense systems, but also acquired German Gepard self-propelled anti-aircraft guns, as well as portable anti-aircraft missiles provided by multiple countries, numbering tens of thousands, enough to destroy the Russian helicopter fleet. Faced with increasingly diverse air defense weapons, the survivability of armed helicopters is indeed worrying. The first country to decide to reduce the number of armed helicopters was Japan. Japan's 5-year National Defense Construction Plan, announced in January 2023, decided to retire all armed helicopters and reconnaissance helicopters and replace these models with drones. The Japan Ground Self-Defense Force currently has approximately 50 Bell AH-1S Huey Cobras, 12 Boeing AH-64D Apache attack helicopters, and 37 Kawasaki OH-1 reconnaissance helicopters. These armed helicopters will be replaced by armed drones, but Japan has not yet mentioned a timetable for their retirement, and the transport helicopters of the Japan Ground Self-Defense Force will not be affected. The second country that decided to phase out armed helicopters was Germany. Germany decided to purchase a batch of light multipurpose armed helicopters for the transition and cut down the entire Tiger attack helicopter fleet before considering unmanned helicopters. The German government signed a contract with Airbus Helicopters in December 2023 to purchase 62 H-145M light attack helicopters at a price of $2.3 billion, with a delivery starting in 2024. Before the new helicopter contract was signed, Germany announced in March that all 51 Tiger armed helicopters would be retired one after another, starting in 2031. In December 2022, the U.S. Army selected Bell Textron's V-280 Valor tiltrotor aircraft as the next-generation general-purpose main helicopter and is expected to enter service in early 2030. The V-280 is used to replace the well-known UH-60 Black Hawk family and some AH-64 Apache attack helicopters, becoming the main rotary-wing aircraft of the U.S. Army. Valor not only has the flexibility of a helicopter, but also has the higher speed and range of a fixed-wing aircraft. When the rotor spins like a helicopter, it can take off vertically or short distances like a helicopter. Once up to the air, it can adjust its rotors to move forward like a fixed-wing aircraft. To compare, the Black Hawk helicopter has a maximum flight speed of 183 miles per hour and a maximum range of 1,380 miles. The Valor has a top speed of 320 miles per hour and a range of 2,400 miles. The maximum takeoff weight of the Black Hawk is 22,000 pounds, while the Valor reaches 30,865 pounds. Therefore, the internal space is larger than that of the Black Hawk. It can carry 4 crew members, including the pilot and co-pilot, mechanic, and gunner. In addition, it can carry 14 crew members. The Black Hawk has a crew of 4 plus 11 crew members. The Valor can hoist 11,905 pounds of payload, while the Black Hawk can hoist 9,040 pounds. High speed and long range are necessities deeply felt by the Pentagon in actual combat. During the wars in Iraq and Afghanistan, the U.S. military was deeply impressed by the speed and range of the Osprey tiltrotor aircraft. Due to the high-speed characteristics of the Osprey, it can complete 2 missions in the time it takes the CH-53E to perform a single mission. However, the safety record of the first-generation tiltrotor aircraft V-280 Osprey was criticized, so some people are not optimistic about the future of the Valor aircraft. However, the design of the Valor aircraft did learn from the lessons of the Osprey and made great improvements. To achieve better safety, the Valor's rotor design differs from that of the Osprey. Its rotor is not linked with the engine, but the power is transmitted to the rotor by a cardan shaft, which makes the center of gravity of the whole machine change less, further reduces the burden on the steering mechanism, and also avoids the disadvantage of the engine hot gas being discharged downward. The Valor prototype uses 2 General Electric T64 turboshaft engines, and the production version will use Rolls-Royce's AE1107F engine, which is a development model of the engine used by the MV-22 Osprey. In addition, according to experience, when the Osprey repels or lifts people in the hovering state, the hot air from the engine is discharged downward, making soldiers very uncomfortable. Meanwhile, the Valor's engine does not move, and the hot air is discharged to the rear, so there is no such problem. Moreover, the Valor canceled the back opening springboard tailgate design of the Osprey and replaced it with a side opening door design like the Black Hawk. The side doors open under the wings. The wings can block part of the downward airflow, which is more beneficial for sling operations. The 6-foot wide side door also facilitates personnel's faster entry and exits, as well as tasks such as loading stretchers and rapid descents. Weapons, such as door machine guns, rockets, etc., can also be installed on the door like the Black Hawk helicopter. The U.S. Army will retire older helicopters from active duty units first. Moreover, these retired Black Hawk helicopters will also be resold to foreign countries, with the estimated selling price of a single aircraft being around $2 million. Okay, that's all for today. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and support MASA Military. See you next time.